Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for North America here for the second week of the Overwatch Open. I'm your host, Alex Machine Richardson, and I'm joined by two, appropriately, North Americans. I've got myself Joshi, or Ask Joshi, and ZP, otherwise known as Andrew. How are you boys doing? You've witnessed Europe. Europe has been put to bed for the second time. Now we're diving into real North America. We did have a round of 32. It was a Fnatic whitewash. But how are you feeling? You get to see, again, some North American competition. Will someone stand up to Envy? What are your vibes coming into week 2?
I'm just excited to get more in the NA competition, and I think the field is a little bit more wide open. Of course, Envy has been the juggernaut in the scene. They've been absolutely phenomenal, but now they've already qualified. They're not here today, which means that this other tier of NA teams, the teams that have been really fighting out for second place, C9, TSM, LG, and more, they now get to show their stuff and sort of go, all right, well, we might be below Envy right now, but we're certainly the top of the rest of the pack.
That kind of cover all the bases, Josh?
Yeah, I think so. It's anytime Envious is not there, other teams can rejoice because they actually have a chance. So like Cloud9, Luminosity, NG Red are teams that he mentioned. Also in the round of 16, we've got Team Liquid, One Shot, Selfless, Sodipop, all these other teams that have been taking series off of each other for weeks now, and it's really anyone's game. Now that Envy isn't here to just crush dreams, it's anyone's game.
Yeah, and we'll be talking more about Envy and all of that malarkey in just a moment. They have touched on something quite important, though. Envy are locked in. They picked it up the grand finals of the first week of the North American Overwatch Open, so they're locked and loaded, and they won't be showing up for the following 3 weeks of competition. This is the format. This is how it does break down. It is an open bracket. Anyone and their mother can join. Even your dog, if he can play Overwatch, can sign up. 256 slots are available for teams of 6, and you guys can go ahead and sign up for the next week over at FACEIT.com. But this is how it does play out. And you can see that we do battle for those regional playoffs, and then you do, of course, look for that grand prize. Live finals played at the ELEAGUE Arena. That's over in Atlanta, so if you are in Europe, that's, of course, a trip to America as well as being on the telebox. And now this is what happened over in North America. This is what we witnessed last week. You can see Envy are locked in on that left side. They will be competing in the playoffs, looking to get their chance at the ELEAGUE Arena. Alongside that, you can see the points. I've explained this before, but I will do so again. 22 points is awarded to TSM after reaching the grand finals, however, falling short versus Envious. Following that, you can see Cloud9, LG, these usual suspects the boys have already addressed to my left. You can see that they did make progress through that bracket and are rewarded thusly with points. The more points you acquire over the following 4 weeks enables you to get that spot in the playoffs. Of course, we do see them alongside the teams that pick up the grand finals. It's all very, very simple, and now you can see what is coming up next. Liquid and One Shot. That's our first game. Following that, we have 2 quarterfinals. And moving into Sunday, you will get your semis and that grand final. Another team locked in for the playoffs. Liquid and One Shot, gentlemen. This is where I start to probe. Liquid and One Shot, you've already made it abundantly clear off air. You said this is actually an intriguing one. You seemed like... Actually, Josh, you had a different opinion to ZP already because I spoke to you both individually. I'll start with you, ZP, because you said it's really weird at the moment. Explain.
Well, so here it is for One Shot. For those who don't know One Shot or have watched them play, they right now are sort of the ultimate gatekeeper team in North America. Okay. You cannot consider yourself even vying for the top unless you beat One Shot. Unfortunately for One Shot, they haven't done a lot of beating of the teams on the top, even though they've had close games. However, Liquid has been weird as of late. There was a period where they were very easily in the top tier, or the top tier of teams, having good matches against your C9s, your NG Reds, your LGs, and all the rest. But the last week and a half or so has been a little bit disappointing from Liquid. They've lost to some teams that they haven't needed to lose to. And One Shot, I mean, I think they've been on a very steady incline, even if it hasn't been a very sharp one. So I would still favor Liquid a little bit going into this, but I could easily see One Shot taking this game.
You're nodding then, Josh. Is that kind of the same sentiments from you, that Liquid are in a weird place, but so are One Shot?
Yeah, well, One Shot, as Andrew said, basically they're the gatekeepers of North America. It's kind of a rough position to have, unfortunately, because it means people are beating you to assert themselves. But, you know, they are a solid crew, and they've been playing together for a very long time. Liquid is still in flux. It's almost a completely different roster than the Liquid we cast a month or even 2 months ago. So it's kind of a wild card, actually, Liquid. And I noticed in the points... There's no Liquid. Liquid had no points last week, so they didn't even compete last week. So now they're basically just trying to prove for the first time what this new squad can do.
Yeah, and do you guys know if ELEAGUE is still standing in? Because I believe
we'll find out shortly.
Yeah,
but
right, exactly.
Oh,
so we don't actually. Have
I don't actually think he will be there. I think he was filling in for ID. I could be wrong on that, but I believe ID will be here today. The wild card for me, where I haven't actually gotten confirmation, I can dig a little bit. Of course, we'll know in just a moment when we get to the match. But Dummy was a mainstay on Liquid, and he might not be with them anymore. We had Kefri going in for them, so I guess we'll find out if Dummy is still with them or not. I could see it going either way, just because of the situation with Dummy and Team Liquid and things I've heard. But I guess we'll find out.
Dummy did tweet recently, actually, that
know.
this might be the last time you see him in that shirt. So when he was streaming. So
All,
who knows?
All of these players with their cryptic tweets.
Yeah.
I have had confirmation that neither Dummy or ELEAGUE are in the Liquid roster currently competing.
So we'll get a surprise maybe.
But this is what we were talking about, right? We were addressing this during Europe. We were saying that, you know, during these opening stages, during the as the dust does settle within the rosters, you're going to see so much this roster mania. Names, you're like, I've seen that name somewhere. You'll see players getting poached. You're going to see all of it. The plethora of kind of roster mania you're going to see within the, I'd still say like a 6-month window until suddenly people get really, really comfortable with each other. I still think like, do you think any of these rosters are going to be identical come 6 months?
Possibly envious.
Okay. But like, how crazy is that?
Other than
probably
that,
about one.
Who even knows, man? Because we don't even know. Like Seagull and Luminosity seem to have a weird relationship at the moment, and that was like the good as glue like thing that you knew was Seagull and Luminosity were super tight. But who knows? In a couple months, it could be entirely different.
Can I just ask you, how good is glue, Josh?
As good as glue? Well,
I've literally
I guess
never heard that expression before.
It depends what you're using the glue for.
Oh, okay.
Holding up a car bumper, maybe not so great, but you know, Overwatch team.
Brushing your teeth, probably not that good. Yeah.
Well, let's forgive that metaphor, I guess. If
I think in England we say
dentures. Dentures are what glue is good for.
Yeah, probably not super glue, but yeah, I mean, yes, we think we say good as gold in England.
I mean, that's
you had
also
something to
a
say.
thing.
Sorry, Andrew, we're totally talking about glue.
I actually, the glue talk has actually just put my mind completely on glue. I'm just wondering, like, where does super glue fit in here? Because it's clearly powered up glue on some levels. I don't even know.
Yeah,
I'm just eye rolling as hard as I can. I need some glue.
I need to find a segue.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do this. No, I can't. I can't find a way. Let's get back on topic.
Sure.
Who is the glue within the one-shot roster?
So it depends on who you ask and all the rest for the one-shot roster. But certainly one player that's been a standout over time, and I think it's where one-shot got my radar, is that Chronic has had moments of just sheer Reinhardt brilliance. You don't always go to, oh, the Reinhardt's a glue, but a lot of your good teams do have just top-tier Reinhardts, and Chronic's had absolutely good play going forward. So I think Chronic is definitely one to watch.
What defines this good Reinhardt play? Because I asked John before, and it was a bit of a kind of a difficult answer to give. You're like, situational awareness, is that kind of the buzzwords there?
It's two things for Reinhardt. One is that you don't get called out on cast for having charges that you shouldn't have, or just like, I don't know why Reinhardt charged into 6 people. If you're not doing that, that's step one. Step number 2 is winning Reinhardt v. Reinhardt battles, being the Reinhardt that's on the other end of charging the Reinhardt. And number 3, of course, is having some great Earth Shatters where Chronic really excels at. We've seen him have some legendary Earth Shatters over time.
It's timing and communication. So Graviton Surge, for example, if Zarya lobs a Graviton Surge, Reinhardt can charge through the enemy Reinhardt, and suddenly everyone's exposed. So it's just little things like that, timings, communication, all of it comes into play for Reinhardt. He's such a interesting character that if you're alone by yourself as a Reinhardt, you're not going to last long. You need full, cooperation and teamwork to make the most of a Reinhardt.
Me and you actually observed in the green room. We saw in for Xenon, their Reinhardt getting caught out in the open. You realize just, when you see a bad Reinhardt, you realize how good a good Reinhardt is. It's one of those, really. Is there any kind of, is there a tank that's nipping at the heels of Reinhardt? I know you guys were talking about it before. You were suggesting that we might not see Reinhardt. John was like, oh, okay, Reinhardt is being played. Why was there that kind of that panic about that?
Well, there have been points here where teams, especially on maps where you have a first capture point, have eschewed running a Reinhardt. Like, for example, on the Bonnie, you'll see plenty of times teams will go D.Va into Winston and stuff like that. And D.Va actually has, I'm not going to say supplanted Reinhardt because there's still plenty of maps where you run Reinhardt entirely, but there's more situations where maybe you run sort of a double tank setup where you have a D.Va in there instead of a Reinhardt because she did get newly buffed and her defensive matrix is really, really good.
It's Reinhardt-esque. We described it as earlier. I just want to clarify for everyone at home who's sitting there, can you get these guys off the screen? I want to be watching some Overwatch. I understand. We're just waiting for one player who's resolving a couple of technical issues. In fact, I think we're loading in right about now. So we're going to be bringing the map up on your screens in just a few moments. Just taking this opportunity as we do load in to remind you that you could be watching this and getting all your information at the website, overwatchopen.com. Nearly forgot it there. Good catch. And of course, the hashtag is OWOpen. This is me doing a hashtag OWOpen. Do get involved and let us know how things are going on your end. Who are you supporting? Who is going to join Envy in that playoff spot? All these questions, we are looking for answers over on the hashtag. And if you're not in the Twitter sphere, get in it. There you go. That's all I have to say. Anyway, expectations coming to this one. It's time to probe for predictions. One Shot and Liquid.
So I think for me, I would be remiss if I didn't predict anything
best of 3.
but Liquid here. I think Liquid is definitely the favorite, but I do think there's a puncher's chance of One Shot here. So if One Shot comes out and takes map 1, not going to be surprised.
Yeah.
You cover it. That's what I call a sitting on the fence prediction.
It is.
No,
it is. I'm
sympathy.
hedging my bets a little bit, although I do think Liquid has an edge.
Liquid,
Liquid has an edge.
I think, yeah, it's possible that Liquid could run away with it, but one shot, again, they've got the cohesion and have been playing together for so long, it really could just be a difference of how comfortable they are with each other.
The map is Dorado. It is Liquid versus one shot, and the loser will perhaps need more than one shot of Liquid after this one. It is a lot on the line. Your casters are none other than Joshi and ZP.
Well played, Machine, as he makes his exit with the Liquid pun. Very, very well done. But yes, Dorado is going to be a full payload map. Only 14 seconds left to prepare the defenses, so we can get a good look at what Dehang has, the word I read immediately, what Liquid is actually coming out here with. And you do see the Zen Lucio, which we've seen time and time again today, Reinhardt and Zarya for the tank combo, and McCree Reaper again for the damage combo.
And it's sad news for Junkrat's fans. There are some teams that still run Junkrat here on Dorado for defense, not coming up for Liquid. Meanwhile, looking at the offense from one shot, it's going to be Rasty on the McCree, Chronic on D.Va, Ultra Weapon on Genji, Psycho on the Lucio, Wolf going to be on Zen, and Exi on defensive Reaper. So see how this goes. Ultra Weapon is definitely one to watch for one shot. He has had moments of pure Genji brilliance, but it really depends on the day. So we'll see if the good Ultimate Weapon has showed up here today.
And it's also interesting that we did talk about Chronic's Reinhardt play being so phenomenal, and of course he's on D.Va, which is the new hotness version of Reinhardt, with the defense matrix essentially acting as a Reinhardt shield that you can just keep up as often as you like. Now we do see the payload actually entering the first choke point here in this underpass right beneath that bridge. AZK taking some free shots down these sight lines. There's really only 3 main points of entry. Great shot there on Ultimate Web to slow down that offense.
Yeah, and Chronic's moving into the room, but he's already really low HP. He's going to get taken out here in just a moment. Mesmer able to complete the kill, so clean kills coming out here from Liquid. Raz has to back out here. This is not a good opportunity anymore. And I like the defense coming out from Liquid. Of course, it's more the traditional defense here on Dorado, but they're not doing anything crazy. They're not trying to spawn camp. They're not trying to be out. They're just using the terrain of the courtyard to their advantage, where sometimes offenses can have a hard time breaking it. A lot is going to depend on Ultimate Weapon to really get into the backline and open things up.
That's true, and that's why he's got that Genji. There are a couple of little shortcut areas that Ultimate Web could try to make use of. It can be very difficult to break in, though, because basically anytime someone hears a Genji behind the team, they're going to call it out, and then suddenly you're 6v1 or 3v1, whatever it is. So it can be really tough to break in. Mezer going down there to a great flash and fan from Rast-C. And he's got his Deadeye available. The payload is moving now as they sort of dislodge that defense. AZK had to run for it, and ID is going to go down.
Well, they get the double kill here. They're moving forward. Liquid, though, not having percent. AZK looking to be the rock that holds Liquid together. Minstrel able to follow up on his poke. Gets the double kill as Lucio now rushing down the offense. So the opportunity that was coming up here for one shot quickly fading as they're not able to carry it through. And again, we sort of talked about in a previous game where you have to get on, say, IDD, QD in the backline with facing Fnatic. Well, same for AZK. AZK, of course, a player with FPS pedigree, pretty good at McCree. They're going to have to deal with it, but you look at the ult situation now, Josh, he is looking absolutely grim for one shot into the next push.
Yeah, this is actually very terrifying. It's a good thing they can't see their enemy's ult charges. They can assume, of course, by now, if anyone's keeping track, that Graviton Surge, of course, is going to be available just because it takes a while to build up. There's a point where you realize, yes, this is going to be happening. There's no Transcendence out for Rulf. Unfortunately, he's at 50% ult charge, so they do just quickly scoop 3 kills. Kefri and AZK combining their ID, getting the last one on McCree.
That was a great 3-person Graviton. Absolutely set up one shot for failure there. And Liquid, they lost 2 people, which will take a while to run back. Certainly the run back here is not a great one. But they are in a good position. They didn't use too much in the way of ultimate. They used Death Blossom in that fight. But they will have Earth Shatter and Sound Barrier up. And Sound Barriers will probably cancel out in the next fight. We'll see where things go as the fight is about to begin. Here comes the offense. They're actually running right in. They use Sound Barrier early. They have not gotten anything off yet. Raz takes out AZK. ID onto Exi. 5v5 right now on the point. Kefri, though, laying it in on Liquid side, and they are going the hold here, Josh.
Yeah, great job there from Kefri. Reaper finding all the squishy targets in a row. Very nice for him. I was expecting the spray. Is he trying to spray that door in camp? That's exactly what it was. But yeah, they hold with only under a minute remaining for the attacking team to try to make something happen here. One shot really only has Deadeye available to make something happen. Rulf should have Transcendence soon. Exi actually onto the D.Va now. Chronic is going to be on the Reinhardt eventually here.
All right, so the offense right now going to take another crack at it. There's 25 seconds left. Everything matters here for one shot. If they're not able to get to the checkpoint, they will lose right before it. And as a result, they're probably going to lose the map, so everything on the line. And they move forward. The Transcendence is now out here for the offense. Ratzi going to be looking for the Deadeye here into one. Does take out Mezar, so they're up a player. Looking for a little bit more. Zarya deep in the back will go down. 2 kills from Raz, setting up his team. You have the counter Deadeye coming out here from AZK. Not able to get what he's looking for, but Kefri comes in. The triple kill Death Blossom, and that is going to seal it here for Liquid.
Yet another Death Blossom and yet another great great hold for Liquid, and that is going to be a distance set of 77.36 meters. I have to say, Liquid did such a great job there on defense, it's looking very likely that they'll be able to trump that, but we'll find out as we flip sides. They didn't even reach a single checkpoint. That's got to be a bit demoralizing for One Shot that we were kind of thinking could hold up here.
Well, for One Shot, again, they're a team where sometimes you get a really good version of them, sometimes you get a not so great. But I do feel like Liquid has really fixed some of the errors that they've had as of late, where it sort of made them think like there is potential for an upset here. Certainly, I'm not going to write off One Shot for the series just yet, but going into here, having to hold there on Dorado where that yellow square is, that is almost mission impossible. I'm not saying it is, but I think what you're going to see from One Shot here is One Shot is going to have to try and go for the newer school envious defense of being more aggro, because if they hold back and they lose one fight, they're probably going to lose the map. So I feel like they just have to take a little bit more risks here on their defense to try and go for the counter hold.
Interesting, yeah. It's weird to think about risky defenses, but I guess Symmetra is almost like the perfect example of that, as One Shot is looking like they're going to utilize Xe to try and get a teleporter up as quick as possible. That definitely can give you a nice backbone for your defense if you can protect that teleporter.
I'll take a look at that defense coming out from One Shot. It's going to be Ratsy on the McCree, Chronic on Reinhardt, Psycho on the Mercy, Xe on the Symmetra, Rolf on the Zenyatta, and Ultimate Weapon on the Junkrat. So a lot of this is going to depend on Ultimate Weapon able to lay down enough damage to keep Liquid out. And then, of course, Xe building a teleporter up ASAP and just using the res synergy between Mercy, who directly reses people, and Symmetra, who sort of indirectly reses people with the teleporter, to try and hold on to this point. But it is going to be very tough.
Is it enough damage on the defense with just a McCree and Junkrat really as the DPS?
I mean, it's going to be rough. I feel like Raz and Ultimate Weapon, respectively, are going to have the games of their lives, because if even one of them gets picked early, Joshy, I don't see how they have the damage to actually hold on the defense.
And actually, we're seeing Kefri on Widow to start things off, too. Could easily snag a couple of headshots and just blow this thing wide open.
If Kefri is able to tag a DPS character, if he gets Raz or Ultimate Weapon, more likely to get Raz, because Raz actually has to have line of sight for his poking and is more likely to take risks. If he picks off Raz, that could be the game right here as Liquid moves up, and they don't have to move with a lot of haste here, Josh. They know that they have a big buffer.
It's interesting there's an offensive Junkrat as well, ID. We talked about the use of Concussive Mine in actually the Anubis map that we watched earlier, but definitely works just as well here to blast people away from that payload, try and give yourself a little bit of space. So Junkrat versus Junkrat can be quite interesting. Kefri trying to do a launch grapple shot. Looks like he doesn't quite connect there, but certainly the potential is there to pick off someone just from above.
Yeah, it's always a threat when Widow goes in over the top. Well, we do see Liquid now posturing a little bit more aggressively. They have one on the left flank, and now they're moving right in onto payload. Chronic, though, swings the hammer, takes out AZK immediately. ID, though, able to take out Xe in the back. So now a 5v4 in favor of Team Liquid, slowly putting momentum in their favor as ID takes out Psycho Waffle, and now a much bigger numbers advantage. Shot over the top, takes out Chronic, and this might be it already. Tyra's coming out for Ultimate Weapon, will be the Hail Mary save that they need. No! Mezar stops it in its tracks.
The payload only has to move a few more meters, honestly, 7 more meters and closing now. I think that's going to be a done deal for Liquid, and they will take game number 1 here on Dorado as the teleporter goes down. So the risky defense didn't quite work. They lost Rassi to the sniper, then Symmetra fell, no teleporter available. I didn't see a Mercy res as things progressed there, so nothing really went their way almost at all.
This, of course, I believe was the big death loss time from Kefri that really sealed things towards the end of the Liquid defense. Got right on top of the fountain, and that worked out pretty well.
All right, so Dorado, only the first game in a best-of-3 series here in the round of 16, and this is, again, a single elimination bracket, so One Shot really has one more chance, basically, to fight their way back.
Yeah, and for One Shot, I think this is a rough combination of circumstances here. One is that Liquid is looking much better today than they looked in the past week and a half, where it didn't really seem like they had things together. Clearly, they got more scrim time in. I know I talk with Minstrel a whole lot, and Minstrel actually tells me from time to time, like, the problem with Liquid is sometimes they go into games a little bit cold. Well, I don't think that was the case here at all today. They have been fighting through the bracket off stream, getting here, so I think that went in their favor. And One Shot, again, they're a more variable team where I think today has not been their best showing. Usually when they do well, Chronic has huge moments, and Ultimate Weapon also has huge moments, and I felt like that was a pretty quiet game coming out from Ultimate Weapon.
Yeah, and Junkrat is kind of an interesting defensive character. He doesn't really go off unless it gets a huge tire, and that just didn't happen. So we will be going to a break now, but when we come back, Lijiang Tower, the King of the Hill map, will be our map number 2. Don't go anywhere.